Ahoy, fellow pilots! This is a rogue transmission.
Nick, we're here tonight gathered beneath the stars in the dark because something monumental has happened in the monolith community, or I should say, rather, the Star of Providence community.
Still takes getting used to that, honestly.
Yes, I think it's going to be a while before I'm completely used to it. But I think
hmm
it's worth reading Pure Question Statement in full. So, for
hmm
those who don't know, who are just hearing it from us now, Monolith, the game that we know and love, is changing its name to Star of Providence.
hmm
So I will just go ahead and read Pure Question's full statement here that was posted on Steam and in Discord. So it says, "Good morning, afternoon, evening, night. Go to sleep, you Monolith fans. We have recently been made aware of a legal situation regarding the name of the game. Specifically, it was trademarked in 2015 by Warner Brothers. We assume this has to do with their subsidiary game studio, Monolith Productions, but we aren't sure. We haven't heard anything from Warner Brothers, and it's possible we never would. But we have some big plans in store for later this year, and it's not worth the risk of getting a C&D, a cease and desist letter, so we will be renaming the game sometime in the next month. We'll be taking advantage of the situation to deal with an unrelated but long-standing issue. Relics of the Past has long been considered by far the superior version of the game, but many players start out without it and consequently miss out on its plethora of quality of life improvements and general gameplay balance changes. Once the name change rolls out sometime in the next month, we will also be making Relics of the Past the default version of the game. The base game will cost $15 and the DLC will be included. Because we don't want to simply do away with something that has remained available for the better part of a decade, After the End will still be available as a separate Steam branch, accessed from the betas menu. This does mean that anyone who owns the base game but not Relics of the Past will effectively get the latter for free. Consider this period a sale if you like. This will be a strange transition period, but I'm very excited about what we have in store. See you on the other side." So there you have it. That's the full announcement.
hmm
Nick, what are your thoughts?
Uh, okay, so in the interest of full disclosure, I am part of the beta testing group,
Mm-hmm.
and as such, I was aware of this upcoming change for
Mm-hmm.
a while now. So I've had a bit more time to process it than other people have, and at this point, I've come to consider it a blessing in disguise of sorts.
Okay, expound on that.
So, one of the things that has been talked about in regards to Monolith since, honestly, even the early days is that as cool of a name as Monolith is,
Mm-hmm.
it is just not search engine friendly. Like, it does not stand out. The game
Mm-hmm.
itself stands out a lot, but the name itself does not. It is, if you Google it, you'll get with a lot of other results that are unrelated,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easy for people to find something else with the same name. It clashes with the game directory on Twitch, and
Oh
rename
yes.
and so renaming it just kind of solves those issues, which we were accustomed to, but this inadvertently ends up sort of sorting all that out.
Yeah, that is definitely a plus to this. I hated the overlap on Twitch. There's two games called Monolith. There's one
Mhm.
that's some I've never watched the other one, but it's like I think it's like a VR game or something. And it started popping up anytime I tried to watch Monolith streams on Twitch. That was the game that I would see. It was really annoying. So I'm glad that's going to be fixed.
Mhm. And the other thing, from me personally, the decision to consolidate the DLC and to make it part of the standard default out of the box experience is something that I'm very much in favor of. I personally believe that this is something that Team D13 should have done a long time ago.
Hmm.
It's finally here, and I'm honestly really glad about this. This is a very good thing that's happening.
Yes, I agree. The DLC consolidation is long overdue. I have tried to introduce a lot of people to Monolith, and after the DLC came out, the pitch always became, "Hey, there's this really great game, but to get the full experience, you really just need to start playing the DLC right away." And I think what was really difficult about that for people is they always felt like I was telling them to skip the base game, right? Even if I had explained it to them, they're like, "Yeah, but I want to experience the base game first." And I was like, "No, you don't understand. The base game is in the DLC. You won't miss out on anything."
Hmm.
I mean, arguably, Overlord was harder. I know there's little things like that, but as far as like content, right?
Well, the thing that pure statement that you read just now emphasizes is that the DLC specifically has a lot of quality of life improvements and balance
Absolutely.
changes that make it more accessible to newcomers, but
Hmm.
newcomers wouldn't know about this, and so they would play a version of the game that is in some regards a bit inferior because there's less content and there's less of all the tiny little details that make Monolith such a pleasant game. Like, I would recommend some people, if you've only ever played Relics of the Past, play a little bit of After the End, and you'll quickly realize, oh goodness, so many of the things I'm accustomed to are just not here, and it is a game that is a lot less replayable and just slightly more frustrating in a number of ways.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great suggestion. It's definitely worth going back and playing it, if only to experience what the game was at that time.
Mhm.
Um, and I think you're right because, and this was probably my fault, but calling it only a DLC is inaccurate, right? It was also an update.
It's a full on expansion, really.
Yes, and it improves the game in many ways. So I'm really, really happy about that because, yeah, it needed to happen. This is the best time to do it. I also, I mean, I loved the name Monolith. I've known it for years. And so it's become synonymous with this game I love, right? But you're right, it
Hmm.
didn't really stand out. And, with the specter of a cease and desist hanging over the game, it's good to get that out of the way,
Hmm.
and just not give Warner Brothers any ammunition. Over the past day, as I've been thinking about the new name, Star of Providence, I've come to like it a lot. I recognize that that name is a lot more unique, and it's going to be easy for people to find, and also lore wise, we know the Star of Providence is essentially the power eternal. I think that that's a great title, and the timing of the rebranding before the next update is also really, really good.
Hmm. Definitely. It will get some getting used to. I still have to remind myself that, oh, I've just been saying monolith so easily for the past 6 years, and now I have to make this switch, and it's like it takes some time for it to settle, but with time it'll just become natural. For me, honestly, the bigger concern has been updating all of the community sites and all of the things like leaderboards. uh
Hmm.
like I've made a list. Like, I have TV tropes, the Twitch directory, the soundtrack listings, the archive of our own, speedrun.com. It's just that has, and the wiki, of course. All that has been my concern. Is like, oh god, we gotta make sure all of this stuff is in harmony and in agreement.
Yes, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
What I'm most excited about, Nick, reading Pure Questions post, is the reference to big plans that they have in store for later this year. We're
Hmm.
already halfway through the year. I'm really, really hopeful at this point that we get another Monolith Christmas surprise, or excuse me, Star of Providence Christmas surprise, because that was honestly just an amazing experience. When, for
Hmm.
those who don't know, Relics of the Past came out Christmas Day, right, Nick? I'm
Christmas
not
Day
misremembering that.
2019.
Yes, and I was at my parents' house, and I was very eager to return home to where my PC was so I could play it. And I had to drive 7 hours, and at every rest stop, when I stopped for dinner, I was reading Discord and watching people freak out about how great the update was, and it was just super exciting. I got back, played it. If that happens again this year, that would be amazing. But regardless of the release date, I'm super excited to know, even though I sort of already knew, but to see Pure Question say big plans, and specifically, he says, I'm very excited about what we have in store. That is super exciting to me. I'm not a beta tester. I know there are many secrets you know that I don't. So that just makes me very, very happy. I'm always happy to know that there's more content that's being worked on, and there's a chance I might be able to see it this year or early next year. Yeah, that's awesome.
What I can say is, having had an opportunity to see and witness some of the things that they have been working on, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I I'm looking forward to the time where I can finally talk about all the cool things that I have seen that I
Hmm.
must remain silent on for
Yeah, see,
now.
this is how Team D13 can know with complete confidence that they can trust you, because you knew about this name change weeks before I did, and you didn't tell me. You had to sit with this and just especially with us starting this podcast, you had to sit with that knowing that we might have to go back and change some things, which brings us to the next thing we need to address. We actually have 2 episodes complete right now that we recorded before this announcement.
Hmm. So episodes 3 and 4 uh, were recorded before this name change, and therefore we still use the name Monolith in those.
Hmm.
But starting on episode 5, we will be using the Star of Providence title if we don't forget to keep making that switch in our minds. So
Yeah,
just a little disclaimer, heads up, we don't record these live or the day before. We do these weeks in advance because it just makes things easier and less stressful for us.
we're always working on different episodes.
Hmm.
I think listeners can expect a few slip ups though, because I'm definitely going to accidentally call it Monolith a few times uh, before I get used to Star of Providence.
Likewise.
I also might call it Star of the Past at some point.
Yeah.
Yes, but hey, we're Star of Providence fans now. You know, we were Monolith fans. Now we are Star of Providence fans.
In a way, we've always been Star of Providence fans.
Yeah. So in the coming weeks, we'll definitely release an episode that goes into some greater depth on this name change and our thoughts on it. But for now, this is Malachi and Nick signing off.
We'll leave you with this. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet.
It's as true and as applicable to this video game as to anything else. Thanks for listening. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.